Sciacquatevi la bocca! With this epic celebration I wanted to start today's video. For a simple reason, we will speak now, finally, about Leonardo Bonucci. Ciao Juventini of the world, my name is Giuseppe, welcome back on the channel. A lot of you during the summer asked me to speak about Leo Bonucci, why he didn't travel to USA, why he was not training with first team, and especially what were my thoughts about it. Point of view from the club, point of view from the player. Today arrived the moment. Why did I wait so long? Because I was waiting with the most respect, because you like it or you don't like it. Leonardo Bonucci, we are speaking about the legend of Juventus. More than 500 games with the Bianconeri. Now it is official. He's not the captain of Juventus anymore. He's not a Bianconero anymore. He traveled yesterday from Torino, stopping in Roma before taking a plane to Berlin, because he has been announced this morning as a Union Berlin player. Today is the 1st of September. For a lot of kids, it means the first day of welcome back to school. For calcio lover, it's not the start, but it's the end of calcio mercato, because we are living at the moment the last few hours of calcio mercato. Virtually, like yesterday on this channel live, Romeo Agresti said and confirmed, the Mercato of Juventus is closed. But attenzione, because the last day of Mercato saw so many stories of surprising players arriving or leaving Juventus. One of the names that arrived on the last day of Mercato, we think about Zlatan Ibrahimovic, Fabio Quararella, but also last season there was a player that left from Torino, going to the Premier League. Yes, Zakaria in the final gong, or right before the final gong, going to Chelsea. Is there a player that can do the same thing this season? From Juventus to Premier League? Well, there are some rumors, so pay attention to today. We have to monitor some situations that we will speak about towards the middle or the end of the video. Maximum of like, yes, it is September. Yes, I continue to ask you the same, but you can't imagine how much you are supporting the channel just by putting a thumb up, just by continue to subscribe if you didn't yet, so it's really appreciated. Continue to do it, because now we start the video. Welcome back September. Before speaking about Leo Bonucci, in September we'll play 4 or 5 games. It depends a bit about what Federazione Italiana Gioco Calcio will tell us next week, where Juventus will play the game against Atalanta, or when the game will be played. Because if Sunday we know that we play against Empoli and we have to win, we know that after the international break we play against Lazio, then we have Sassuolo and Lecce in a midweek game. Well, Atalanta depends, because or we play on Saturday the 30th of September, or we play on Sunday the 1st of October. 4 or 5 games, we don't know. What we know is that we have to go with a maximum of points if later in the season we want to still being able to compete for the big dream, the Scudetto, or if it will be really hard. Ragazzi, all starts with the beginning, we know it. With what team will we be able to do it? Well, this is something that we will speak about tomorrow. For what reason? Because today everything can happen, and my rating today would be this. Tomorrow it can totally change, so we will wait for a review of the Mercato tomorrow. Now let's speak about Leonardo Bonucci. This morning when I saw the announcement on Twitter of him, the picture that you can see here with a total red shirt, I was thinking maybe he stopped being a football player and he became a member of the Formula 1 Ferrari team. Then I looked a bit closer and I didn't see Ferrari, but I saw FC whatever, Union Berlin, because he's now officially a Union Berlin player. Jokes aside, let's speak about Leonardo Bonucci. I think if you need to speak about Leo, you need to see the context of Leonardo Bonucci arriving in a difficult moment of Juventus in 2010, where also him was a player that nobody was trusting in, a player that when Antonio Conte arrived in 2011 is even telling him you will have no chance with the Bianconeri. If you can find yourself a team, better for you to leave. He persisted. He said, no, I want to prove myself as a Juve player, something that he had the chance to do thanks to that change of formation, going to a 3-man defense. A 3-man defense that everyone is still speaking about, something that will be remembered forever, for eternity in the Bianconeri story, the triple B and C. Yes, I didn't say BBC, but triple BC. Why? Because we often forget to mention Gianluigi Buffon. Gianluigi Buffon, Barzagli, Leonardo Bonucci in that middle, and then Giorgio Chiellini. Today it's the end of an era. End of the era personally for Leo Bonucci, but also the end of the era of that BBC or that triple BC that don't see anymore any of these actors that gave so much to Juventus. To analyze Leo Bonucci, of course we will have to speak about his temporary transfer to Milan before coming back, but we have to split things between personal and between sporting side. If we start with the easiest one, is the sporting side. Was Leonardo Bonucci a player that I was counting on with his performance in today's 23-24 Juventus? Absolutely not. A player that, unfortunately for him, 2 seasons ago, he met an enemy that he didn't know for the entirety of his career. We are speaking about injuries. Yes, he became an injury-prone player. He's 35, 36, a player that became older. That ID card is not anymore green or pink, depending the country we are living in, but it's now a bit yellow of being a bit vintage, old. He was not able anymore to play 90 minutes game in, game out like he was used to do for the Bianconeri, a player that was not able anymore to give us 38 games performances like he was used to do with La Vecchia Signora. A lot of mistakes from him, and regardless if he was playing in a 4-man or a 3-man defense, tactically, having him as a starter of Juventus or playing some games would have moved Bremer to the left or to the right side of that 3-man defense. So tactically, sporting-wise, Leonardo Bonucci, according to me, was a player that the journey with Juventus was over. So that way, him leaving Juventus is, according to me, not something that I will regret. But then you have the other story, the person. And of course, it is always sad that a player that played 502 games with Juventus, a player that scored 35 times, that lifted 17 different trophies in the air, well, that we were not able to say goodbye to him in our stadium. It was impossible for a few reasons, because Juventus apparently, according to the rumors, they told him, Leo, in February already, you can have different choices, or you start the career of coach, which you already mentioned that you want to do in the future, or you find yourself another team, especially if you want to still believe to play on the field, to reach the call-up for the Italian national team, but you will find no space anymore in Juventus. He knew it, and he could have accepted that round of applause probably from a big part of the stadium, but again, unfortunately, it was against Milan, and that's the moment where we speak about Milan. Leonardo Bonucci, when he left Juventus after the stories with Max Allegri, after that famous Porto game where he was sitting on a stool in La Tribuna, in the stands, well, Leonardo Bonucci decided in that summer to go to Milan. Something that I, of course, didn't appreciate. You can see the shirt in the back, Leonardo Bonucci. He was back then one of my favorite players. A player that probably in my shirt collection would have received more than one shirt. 2, 3, maybe even 4. Because he became also captain of Juventus at the end of his 2.0 comeback to Juve. But no, I didn't, because if I was extremely sad, disappointed and angry, I was absolutely not happy to see him at Milan. Also the attitude, the behavior, the ego of Leo, that gave everything for Milan, or at least this is how he was showing it. So the behavior, I didn't appreciate it. Also that celebration that I did in the beginning of the video, he did it against us in our stadium. So something that I can't. When he came back, I forgave him immediately, because I'm a person that doesn't live in negativity, doesn't want to continue to be pissed off with people. At a certain moment, you forgive and you go on. That's how I have been raised up, how I have received the education from my parents. You have to forgive and move on, especially if you are not only thinking about the sporting side, but the human side. We know it. When he wanted to leave Juve, after the incomprehension, after him not being able to dialogue and finding an agreement with Max Allegri, he probably wanted to go abroad, leaving Italy, but we know it. He had a kid that was sick, followed by a lot of doctors in Italy, and he wanted to stay close to Torino, close where his son was followed. So I will never be pissed off for the choice that he made, because we said it so many times, football is important, but it's the least important things from the things that are really important. Means, yes, I forgave him, yes, I understood it, but of course, from the moment that he came back, even when you forgive, he can't anymore climb up that ranking of the players I love. Juventus told him, apparently, that's what Max said, and they already warned him that he would have no place in 23-24. So it was a bit sad for me to see the end of the story Leonardo Bonucci with Juve. I think it could have been handled much better from his side, because if Juventus already told him, like they said and confirmed multiple times in press conference, in the article that we are able to read, well, Juventus did what they had to do. You have some balances in the locker room, and if a player is not 100% convinced, if a player is not 100% involved in the team, well, it makes totally sense that you are put aside, even if the history is on your side, even if you played 502 games, even if you won so many titles, nearly 20, which is a lot, you have to move on. So I believe that Leonardo Bonucci could have had the opportunity to do much better in terms of behavior, saying at the end of the season, if he didn't want to say goodbye against Milan, which I can understand, at the end of the season organizing a press conference saying, ragazzi, it was fun, it was great, I will always think about you, you will always be in my heart, but it's time for me to move on. And I believe in that situation, I think a lot would have been felt different, because today, of course, it's a kind of sad day. This is what I think about Leonardo Bonucci. Of course, for me, a vintage football fan, I will always appreciate what he did at Juve. I will always consider him a legend, even if, yes, also the legends, they can do mistakes. We have to forgive, move on. But then you see that beautiful picture on Instagram from Juventus with Buffon, Chiellini, Barzagli that are welcoming him out of Juventus. Will one day one of them, 2, 3, or maybe the 4 of them join Juventus in other roles? Only the future will tell us. But yes, at the moment we close the chapter Leonardo Bonucci. We have to speak about a lot of things, ragazzi. First of all, let's speak about the thing that made me really angry yesterday. Gazzetta dello Sport, quasi bene, nearly good, because they are speaking about the Champions League. The Champions League looks like one of the less attractive one of the recent years, because a lot of teams we are thinking, okay, they are Europa League level. But anyway, Champions League is Champions League. So let's be honest, I wanted to participate. Whatever the level of that Champions League, I wanted to hear that music that I'm missing since a lot of time. Yesterday, when I saw Bayern Munich finishing in the group of Manchester United, you're already thinking about these big nights. But then the group F, that's the one that made me the most angry. Paris Saint-Germain, Dortmund, Milan, Newcastle. I wanted to travel to Le Parc des Princes in Paris. An opportunity that last year, of course, I was not able to do because I was doing the games. So I really wanted to go to the yellow wall of Dortmund that is not that far from where I live. I wanted to go to Newcastle in UK to discover Bianconeri against Bianconeri. An opportunity that the off-the-field topics took away from Juventus, because if I saw some memes and some jokes from the anti-Juve world saying that we will be on the couch to watch that games of the Tuesdays or the Wednesday, well, there's not a lot of things we can laugh about or mock about, because on the field we should have been in these teams groups and not Milan. It is what it is. So I'm still thinking what I will do during Tuesday or Wednesday. I don't know if I will watch the games of Champions League. I don't know who I will have some sympathy for. I'm curious about you. What will you do? But anyway, let's stop speaking about Champions League and let's go back to Serie A, because today we start with a big game, Roma-Milan. I'm really curious to follow that game. When I will tell my wife that we are playing also this evening on Friday, I'm not sure if she will be happy, but anyway, it is what it is. We have to watch Serie A, and I can't wait to play on Sunday against Empoli, because we have to go back for the 3 points. Speaking about the game of today, after today, Saturday, Sunday, it's over with Serie A, because all of our players will go to the national team. Rabiot has been called up for l'équipe de France, not Pogba, which according to me is a fantastic news. I didn't want to see Pogba being called up after the 20 minutes that he played last time against Bologna. I want him to stay in La Continassa, to continue to train, to continue to gain minutes in his legs, to see him as a starter, if not against Lazio, in the 5th game of Serie A, which I predicted a few weeks ago. Mercato. End of the video. Londra or Turkey, London or Turkey? Who are we speaking about? Who are these countries or city speaking about? Well, they're speaking about Kostic, because there are some interest still last minute about Filippo Kostic, a player that I can't explain myself at the moment really why he received 0 minutes. I can give myself an explanation tactically because of that new role of Federico Chiesa, because of the good performance of Andrea Cambiaso, but still 0 minutes are a lot. And we'll know the truth only this night after the final gong of the Mercato. Will he stay with us or not? But until then, pay attention, because if Zakaria traveled, if Arthur traveled last season to Liverpool and Chelsea, well, it's a player that West Ham is really monitoring. The bad news is that, according to some sources, not only they showed interest for Filip Kostic, but also for Iling Jr. If I have to choose, let's close the Mercato, let's stay as we are, put Cambiaso to the right side to give some support to Weah, and on the left you play with Kostic and Iling. If I cannot choose and I am obliged to choose one, well, I would prefer to keep Iling Jr. That's my opinion. Can other things happen? Well, Nicolosi and Miretti looks like they will really stay at Juventus. I'm quite happy. I told you, for me, Nicolosi was the man of the summer. I can't wait to see him playing some minutes with the first team. Miretti staying as well, always received a lot of trust from Max Allegri. What about McKennie? Can something happen today? Also him. 99% he will stay with Juventus, being able to play on the right side or as a mezzala, but also there, pay attention because things can happen. And then you always have the danger of Saudi Arabia, because their market will not be closed today. So the exit Mercato will, for example, a Paul Pogba, well, we always will have to monitor that until the end of the Saudi Arabia League. This morning, Comenencia has been presented. If I couldn't give you a lot of information before today I can, because I watched some videos. Mamma mia, videos and highlights, and still, of course, they don't tell everything. But the player, mamma mia, what a player that we signed. I'm quite happy. Not long until 2025. I think that the players that are joining Juve in the next gen, they want to go with short contracts because they want to see if really they have the opportunity to go to the first team or not. But anyway, Livano is absolutely not a bad player. Speaking about the youth, well, Livano, if he's taking the example of Kenan and Dean, well, he can do a beautiful way. Speaking about both of them, yesterday they were there to watch the friendly between Juve women and Brescia, 6-0 for our women that are preparing the start of the season that will start a bit before the mid of September. It's nice to see that bromance between the Dutch and the German-Turkish player. I like to see them together on the field, maybe already in the second half against Empoli. Well, a few days to wait and we will discover it. Is that all for the news? Yeah, ragazzi, yes, mamma mia. Thank you for listening to me. Grazie, forza, Juve.